Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Adam Ship, my money share, as we're going to talk some Saturday, July 6th baseball action. Adam, how's it been going? It's been 48 hours. We've had one major holiday since we last talked.
Yeah, pretty good. Yesterday was relaxing. Stayed in, went out to dinner with my mom and my sister for my mom's birthday, so that was nice. And then hung out with them. So pretty relaxing 4th of July for me. How was yours?
It was good. The wife was up in Minneapolis doing another half marathon, so she was up there. Ran yesterday, did some sort of Prince tour today at Paisley Park at his estate, and some other fun stuff. I follow along on Facebook with her and all her traveling group of running girlfriends. So there we are. So it was me and the dog, and I had to work today, so no rest for the wicked. Well, let's get into this. We've got, of course, a bit of a choppy slate here, as we have been on the last few Saturdays. We've got a 2 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, 6 4 o'clock games. So we'll focus on the 4 o'clock games. We've got 3 7 o'clock games and 4 10 o'clock games. Of course, we will hit that in full earnest tomorrow morning. We are recording this on Friday night. That will be at 11:15 on Saturday. Adam and I will go game by game, breaking everything down. But this will be a nice little starter pack here for you for these games. So first one we have is Texas and Minnesota. Now there's some weather in Texas, or pardon me, weather in Minnesota. Looks like a 5 to 10% chance that game might get postponed. So we'll have to check and see, doubleheader, caveat, all of that. But at this point, we're looking at Jesse Chavez and Michael Pineda as two of our four pitchers on this 2 o'clock slate. And then the other game is Baltimore in Toronto. And you've got Andrew Kashner and Clayton Richard. So Andrew Kashner on DK, Adam, 9,200. Wow. What strange times. What strange days indeed.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I got nothing. Michael Pineda, 88. Chavez, 79. Clayton Richard, 51. So it's not like they were boosting these guys because they're on a two-game early slate, because they all keep the same pricing and they have an all-day slate as well. So starting off here, anything exciting at all for either Chavez or Pineda? Pineda is perpetually disappointed this season. Chavez is getting back up to full strength. Minnesota has a 5.6 implied run total. It's going to be 80 to 85 degrees at first pitch, 50% humidity up there in Minneapolis. Either of these pitchers intrigue you in the slightest?
Nope. Chavez has been pretty good, but a really tough matchup here with a Minnesota team that doesn't strike out and has a ton of power. And then on the other side, Pineda, just kind of, run-of-the-mill pitcher facing a Texas team that has a lot of left-handed power. So, I mean, if you're playing the two-game slate, then Pineda, I guess, is probably the most appealing option. Texas right now has the lowest implied run total on the slate, which I think makes sense. But in the context of anything bigger than those two games, I have nothing.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'm coming over here to the all-day one to get some pricing for comparison's sake. So Kashner is coming in like the sixth most expensive pitcher. That is just absolutely wild. I mean, he's been a little bit better. His last 10 starts have been solid. He's got a sub-4 ERA at 3.9. He's brought his season ERA down to 4.03, 1.25 whip. So he's gotten a lot of stuff under control. He's only allowed 6 home runs in his last 10 games, just 11 on the year, but we know he got gobsmacked relatively early. He's gone 4 straight games without a home run allowed. So that's pretty solid. I can't go 9,200. If he was like 775, I'd be talking about he's my guy on DK on the two pitching site, but I don't know what that do. Feels like a tough slate to play on. The second game there also does have Clayton Richard, who is, I don't know, bad, but Richard is going against your Baltimore Orioles, who are also bad. Who wins out? Who's least worst?
I think the Orioles are probably a little bit better than Richard. They will have most likely a almost entirely right-handed lineup. So getting the guys like Nunez, Severino, Mancini are all really appealing against Richard, who really struggles with righties. Obviously Baltimore still has its flaws, but just no strikeout stuff for Richard. Not very good at preventing power either. So I give the edge to the Orioles.
All right, and then I wanted to check. This is the second time that Andrew Kashner has faced Toronto this season. He scored 20 DraftKings points the first time. He gave up 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 4 hits allowed, 6 clean innings, no runs. So that's probably about what you can hope for as his upside in this one. All right, now on to the 4 o'clock slate. So let me change some filters around here. Our high level of pitching overview. We have Max Scherzer, who welcomed in his second daughter today or yesterday. So congrats to him. Always exciting. Got to see that on Twitter. But he's coming in at 12,200. Adam, you could get 2 Adrian Hausers and a Glenn Sparkman basically for that same price. Hauser at 47, he's kind of serving as a bit of an opener, if you will. Sparkman, just a mess. It's going to be hot and humid in DC, 90 degrees, 60% humidity. You've got the Biebs, you've got Anthony Desclafani, Rick Porcello, Jordan Zimmerman, CC Sabathia, Blake Snell, Caleb Smith coming off the DL, and then Max Fried round out our pitching core. Let's go game by game here. We'll start off with Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. Hauser is 4,700. Trevor Williams is 6,700. Trevor Williams, decent real-life pitcher. Not really exciting for fantasy. Not really exciting going against the Milwaukee Brewers here. I'm guessing you're leaning a little bit more towards the bats. Yelich, Grandal, Moustakas being the power trio. Take it away, Adam.
Yeah, I think that Williams is a decent real-life pitcher, like you said, but just not a lot of strikeout stuff. He's facing a good Milwaukee offense. The game being played in Pittsburgh is obviously more beneficial for Williams than if it were in Milwaukee, and that takes a little bit of appeal away from the Brewers' bats. But I still don't really see myself getting to Williams, especially because, of course, the places where he'd be most interesting are sites where you have to roster 2 pitchers. And just looking at DraftKings pricing, for example, you have Rick Porcello for $600 more against the Tigers. You have Max Fried for $200 less against the Marlins. I don't really see myself getting to Williams between those two.
All right. On the other side, Hauser, let me see. What do we know about him? Is he going to continue to keep going about 3 innings? Is that sort of their plan for him? Or are they trying to get him up to potentially, I guess he went 5 innings the last time, but he's going about 65 to 75 pitches. I don't see him really going more than that in any circumstance. But at $4,700, would he be someone you would consider on a price per pitch there, marking him at like 70 pitches for $4,700 on DK?
Unnecessary he'll be, but I do think they're trying to stretch him out to be a starter. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw 80, 85 pitches here. It's not a good strikeout matchup against Pittsburgh, but 4,700 in a park that's favorable for pitching is certainly something to consider if you do need to go that cheap for pitching.
All right, continuing along here. Oh yeah, reminder, if you have not yet signed up for Yahoo, they have spawned the management fee free contest for Saturday that will be running on their main slate. It is, let's see, 1,500 people. Is that right? Oh, I'm not in the right tournament. It is, let's go over here. But go to any of the Spotlight Hitters articles, and you could get the link and instructions on how to sign up for your initial deposit bonus of up to $30. That's available in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. They match up to your first $30, and those are available for immediate use. So 1,500 people in the contest. That's $4,500 in, $4,500 out. We have a 7:15 start on Saturday, and do know that this contest will be filled by noon on Saturday, so do not dilly-dally. Max Scherzer, he is pretty good at the baseball. If we look at his DK outings or scoring, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row of at least 33 fantasy points. Wow, that's pretty good. A couple 40 burgers in there, and that's not something you generally say about pitchers. 12,200. He is appropriate. It's going to be warm. He's going against Kansas City, strikes out a little bit more than they normally do, and no DH for Kansas City because this one is in Nationals Park. What's your thoughts on Scherzer? I think he's your cash game guy, but in tournaments, that is a lot of your salary cap.
Yeah, clearly the number one pitcher in terms of, just projected points and talent here. Bieber and Snell obviously are really good pitchers as well, but not at the same level as Scherzer. So I think that it's not going to be too difficult to get to him with Porcello facing Detroit in the mid-range, with Max Fried against Miami, and with a sub-5K Adrian Hauser, like you pointed out. So I do think that Scherzer will be a good play here. Kansas City's a mediocre strikeout matchup. They've struck out about 21% of the time as a team against right-handed pitching this year. Their projected lineup has 5 righties and 4 lefties, including the pitcher here. I want to get to as much Scherzer as I can. He just gives you more upside than anyone else.
Yeah, and there's really not much more to add on that one. On the other side, we have Glenn. Oops, back over there. Where is Glenn? You have Glenn Sparky Sparkmeister Sparkman, who bit of a mess out there. He does pitch. He does throw pitches at him. Okay, so that's in his favor. He has given up 3-3-1-2-1-0-1 home runs in his last 6 games. 3 in each of the last 2. That's at Toronto and at Cleveland. No bueno there. 4,200 though. 4,200. I don't know that I can do it, but when we do the mass multi-entry, would not shock me if he is on 10% of my lineups in order for me to get some nice 5-man stacks. Do you have anything nice to say about Sparkman?
Nope. Tough matchup against the Nats. The only nice thing to say is that he's cheaper than a lot of hitters on the slate, and that makes him. I mean, that makes him rosterable. It doesn't make you feel good about it. It doesn't make him likely to have a good start, but it allows you to get whatever bats you want. It allows you to roster Max Scherzer while still only spending a little over $16,000 a pitcher. Those are appealing things. It's just not an appealing pitcher.
All right. So I got the Yahoo all day pulled up. They don't have very large prize pools for this, but if you want to get a realistically good price, Andrew Kashner is 29 there for those games. Sparkman 26, Hauser 25, Chavez Williams 32 apiece, Richard 29, Scherzer 64. So Porcello 38 would be reasonably priced. You've got Blake Snell at 38. Caleb Smith at 41. So those would be some of the guys we're looking to. Plus, you get the guys on the late slate as well in that one. So Chris Bassett at 34 going against Seattle. Not too shabby. Kenta Maeda at 42 going against San Diego. Not too bad there. And then Robbie Ray against Colorado. Roof will be closed there in Arizona. So looking ahead and doing your lineup construction there, you get all 15 games. But back to our 4-game slate here. If you were going to focus on hitters in particular, does anybody stand out? I'm assuming it's Rendon, Soto, Turner, the usual suspects there for the Nationals.
Yeah, it would be the Nats bats, the guys you normally get to. Sparkman's not a guy that misses a lot of bats. So far this season, he has struck out 14. So really allowing a lot of expected power and actual power there with a 325 ISO. Against righties, he's only struck out 10%, but he has allowed a 167 expected ISO, so nearly 100 points lower so far against righties than lefties. So while I think all the hitters are in an advantageous spot, I think that looking to like a Juan Soto would probably be the number 1 guy.
All right, continuing along here, 3 more games to go. These are our 4-10 games. We're making good time, so let's keep on trucking. We've got a reminder there will be a show at 6:15 for the 7:15 start. That will be myself and Chris Spags taking you up to Live Before Lock with baseball, and then you're going to get some Fast Eddie paywall shows. Yes, it is NBA Summer League. For the next, I think it's 9 or 10 days, they are in Vegas and they are playing lots of games. So he has fully immersed himself into that. There are players that don't play for the games. They sit games out. They try different things. There's people that get limited minutes. They're bringing in the rookies and the young guys, and people that are on free agent contracts, like the not so good players, like Jimmer Fredette had moments, but he has walked away from that. So it's a mess. Some would call it a shit show. That is where Eddie thrives, because he digs into all of that stuff. And he and Rinpack will be doing shows behind the paywall. You also get Eddie's rankings for the players. And this has been a very profitable venture for people that are getting into it. This is an add-on at Osmo. This is a special deal. So it's $19.99. And you get access to the special Slack chat. You get the premium only shows, and then you also get the rankings, which are very, very helpful because you're going to be seeing all sorts of player names, and you're going to want to cull them down because if you try to do the mass multi-entry or you use lineup builders, you're going to get zeros because there are random guys that just sit and you don't know that. So definitely check that out. We had people last year that actually won 10 of the 12 slates or 11 of the 12 slates. So there were quite a few people that did that. And then of the slates, I think we had the winning member in whatever the biggest tournaments were on DraftKings 4 of those days. So, hey, if that's your cup of tea, it is pretty wild and a lot of fun. But let's get back to our games. 3 to go, the 4-10 games. Adam, Blake Snell, CC Sabathia, a couple of southpaws at different points in their career arcs. You have Sabathia at 8,800 here on DraftKings. He has gone against Tampa Bay. This will be the 4th start he has faced them. He's got 17 innings with 2.2 ERA, a 1.2 WHIP, so relatively solid against them because, hey, he's still managing to get it done, and I have no idea how. Blake Snell, on the other hand, it's been tough for him going against the Yankees. This will also be the 4th time he has faced them. In his prior 3 starts, he has lasted only 12 innings. He has allowed 9 runs, just 1 home run, but 19 base runners, 9 runs. So he has been the victim of some hit sequencing because he has 22 freaking strikeouts in 12 innings, Adam. So what do you like or not like with either of these guys? I'm guessing you don't like Sabathia's price, and it's a scary matchup for Snell.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. For Sabathia, I don't want to roster him at an $8,800 price tag. It's an okay matchup against Tampa Bay. It's a good park for pitching, but he just doesn't bring the strikeout stuff that I really want if I'm going to pay $8,800 for a pitcher. And then on the other side, Snell's price tag is affordable for a pitcher who is very, very good, but it is a really tough matchup against the Yankees. You had Aaron Hicks and Gary Sanchez both sit out of Friday's game, so I assume that they're both going to be back in the lineup, and you'll be at full strength for the Yankees. Obviously keep an eye on that, but just a really dangerous spot for Snell and an unappealing price tag for Sabathia.
Yeah, if you bring those 2 guys back in, you've got Encarnacion plus Judge plus Mayhew, Torres, pretty solid. It's just tough lineup that never ends. A lot of strikeouts in that lineup, but it's a dangerous spot. So perfect for tournaments. So we shall see. With regards to Sabathia, I'm not really a fan of his. I would be a fan of his at, 7,100, but 8,800, not so much. If we look over on FanDuel, these guys are coming in at, oops, did I scroll past it? I did. There we go. 81 for Sabathia, 92 for Snell. So getting a discount on Snell, both places. And then Yahoo, I think Snell would be the guy I would go to at 38. Seems very, very appealing based on that. Sabathia at 35, not so much. If you have anything else on this one, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Nope.
Alrighty, we got 2 to go. We are moving along here. Let's do the old Rick Porcello going against his former team. It's going to be 85 degrees in Detroit. We've got Jordan Zimmerman on the other side. I'm not seeing an implied run total yet, so we'll have to see if maybe let me just confirm these pitchers. Let's assume it is those 2. How do you want to proceed on this? And I'll go look at the MLB lineups page.
So I don't really like Porcello all that much as a DFS pitcher, but I'm willing to make an exception here against the Tigers, who we know have basically just hemorrhaged fantasy points to almost any pitcher that faces them. They have one of the highest strikeout percentages against right-handed pitching, one of the lowest WRC plus, one of the lowest walk percentages. Porcello struck out 20.7% of righties this year, 314 expected WOBA, 198 expected ISO. Not super appealing numbers, but he's not priced up for this matchup. So I do think that he's a good option despite his flaws as a pitcher.
All right. ESPN, FanDuel, Yahoo, and DraftKings all say it's Jordan Zimmerman. The MLB baseball page has a blank. So that's
it might be so since Carpenter started.
Oh, shoot. You're right. That was how did they not know who was going to start that game for most of today?
I don't know.
That just seems pretty odd. Anyway, for those of you that were not really paying attention, it was who was it? Ryan Carpenter, and then I forget Soto's first name, but I almost said Juan Soto. It's definitely not Juan Soto.
Gregory Soto.
Gregory Soto, thank you. Both a whole lot of lefties that just get their ass kicked by both righties and lefties. But they didn't announce who the starter was. Now, when sites were reporting conflicting information because they were just trying to guess. So it ended up being Carpenter. I did read a little something that they said Soto was going to start on Saturday, but it's just odd that this many sites aren't catching on to that, because that was a quote from their manager 2 days ago, I think. The days all run together here, but it was something along those lines. So anyway, whoever it is, not really going to matter, because we're going to look at the Boston hitters. We're not going to be taking, if it's Zimmerman, if it's Soto, if it's, I don't know, fill in the blank. We're not going to take anybody against Boston. Break down some of the Boston hitters. Is there anybody, are you hoping it's a lefty or a righty for any of their particular guys that would take the luster away if the opposite were to come true fruition?
If the lefty is Gregory Soto or the righty is Jordan Zimmerman, I don't think it really matters. The Red Sox are all in great spots. If we assume it's Soto, then it's a slight boost for Betts and Martinez and Bogarts, and a slight downgrade for Devers and Benintendi, but not enough to where I would care whatsoever.
All right. Yeah, not much else to say on that one. It'll be fun to get the lineups, though, because definitely we'll be looking at going to Boston heavily on the slate. I suspect they'll probably have a 5.5 implied run total.
Way over 6.
Yeah, if it's Soto, it'll be over 6. But Zimmerman, I think, it'll be about like 5.5. But yeah, it's just a monster spot for him. Let's see. That leaves us with one. Oh no, I missed one. How did I miss the Biebs and Desclafani? Adam, I skipped right over that. Talk to me about the Biebs here. Is he in your good graces still, or have you cooled on his recent performance?
Yeah, I still think he's having a really good year. His issue is that he allows a very high percentage of balls in play to be barreled, which leads to an elevated home run. Leads to an elevated home runs per 9 innings. Pitching in Cincinnati for this game certainly is not likely to help that. So I like the idea of taking some power bats against him, but Cincinnati overall is a below average offense. They do offer up some strikeouts. Bieber struck out 31.7% of hitters so far this season. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. He is sandwiched he has a 2.92 PCRA, which is identical to Walker Buehler so far this season. He's been really good. He deserves the price tag that he has. It's a decent matchup against the Reds. It's not a great park. I prefer Scherzer if I can find the money, but I would rather get to Bieber than to Snell in their respective matchups.
All right, true or false? He has played against Baltimore twice, one in Cleveland, one in Baltimore. That was his last start. Has he scored above or below 99 DraftKings points in those two starts combined?
It was Baltimore and who?
Baltimore and Baltimore. The home and home series.
He got lit up once, didn't he?
Nope. He got 9-inning complete game, 15 strikeouts back in May, and then his last start was 8 innings, 11 strikeouts, 112 pitches.
I thought. Never mind. I misunderstood what you said.
Oh no, I was trying to see how many points did he get.
Almost right, I know, but I thought you said his last 2 starts were against the Orioles.
Oh, my apologies. His last 2. I probably framed that incorrectly. But yikes, those are some crazy numbers there. On the other side, we have Anthony Desclafani, who we know is god-awful against lefties. Like, awful. Like, words cannot describe how bad he is, Adam. The crazy thing about Cleveland, they have a bunch of guys who are switch hitters who actually are better from the left side of the plate. That makes this a little bit terrifying for me. Not a fan of Disco in this matchup. Any consideration at all for you looking at him?
No, I'm right there with you. He has pretty much always had pretty heavy splits. So far this year, that's been the case as well. 273 ISO to lefties, 405 WOBA, compared to a 146 ISO and a 257 WOBA to righties. The strikeout percentage against lefties is 6 points lower than it is against righties. Cleveland doesn't offer up a lot of strikeouts as is, and now you get a nice park boost for home runs for Lindor, for Santana, for Kipnis, Ramirez, Bowers, Naquin, all from the left side. So I'm with you in not being interested in Desclafani, and I'm certainly interested in the Indians bats.
Do we think he's going to make the appearance in the so far uncharted territory of a 400-300 starter with the WOBA and isolated power to lefties as a full-time guy? He's within hailing distance of that, Adam, and it's only going to
Yeah,
get warmer in Cincinnati.
he's getting really close. And while his expected numbers aren't quite as bad as his actual so far, they're certainly not good. An expected 365 WOBA and 249 ISO to lefties is still really, really bad.
Right, here's, and I love these because this is like how writing was in the 70s and 50s for sports. This is the MLB.com homepage. DeSclafani has been had one of his better starts this season in Cleveland on June 12th. He threw 85 pitches over 5 2/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run and 4 hits for a 7-2 win. DeSclafani has seen his curveball and fastball improve during the season. Improve from what? Oh, never change, MLB page. Never change. All right, final game. Couple of intriguing pitchers here. Max Fried, wait for it because he's 6,500 and going against the Miami Marlins. Let's see. This will be the third time he has faced the Marlins this season. But that really doesn't matter because at this price point, I'm pushing the chips in the middle of the table. You have Caleb Smith, who's been down with he had a sore hip, so he's been out for the better part of a month, and he is. Did he do any? Yes, he did one rehab stint, 2 rehab stints in Double-A Jacksonville. 19 strikeouts, 2 walks. Not bad. Gave up 6 runs in that. So he should be back and in full force. Tough ask for him to come in against Atlanta in his first start back here. But 8,400, he does have the upside that is lacking from CC Sabathia and some of our other options. Would you consider Caleb Smith at all?
Yeah, well, it's a really tough spot. On a bigger slate, I wouldn't really be interested. I'm not sure how stretched out he is. I'm trying to pull that up now. That obviously makes a big difference because he's.
Let's see if he had 19 strikeouts. That's at least 3 pitches per strikeout. He's probably, what do you say, 75? Be a realistic.
He threw 83 pitches in his most recent rehab start.
Okay,
so I would assume you can get somewhere around 90.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that he's an interesting tournament play just because the strikeout stuff is so good. But it is obviously a really tough matchup against Atlanta. The reason that I think he kind of becomes appealing on this slate is because, you look at arms around him and you have Sabathia, who doesn't even come close in terms of strikeouts. Snell's facing the Yankees, so he's more expensive and in just as tough of a spot. Bieber is a lot more expensive. Scherzer obviously is way more expensive. And then there's no one else above or around him. So I think that like the optimal roster construction will probably be to pay up for one of Scherzer, Bieber, and then pay down for like a Fried or Porcello or something like that. But that does make Smith have some tournament appeal just based on his strikeout numbers.
All right, and our last guy here, definitely the price and matchup are going to have him squarely in my sights. That is Max Fried. He is 65 on DK. He is 41, and Caleb Smith is also 41 on Yahoo. And then on FanDuel, we have Smith at 83, Fried at 86. I think I'd rather go with. Would you rather go with Snell or Fried on FanDuel, one pitcher site? 90
Fried.
degrees. 90 degrees in Atlanta tomorrow.
I mean, I'm checking their pricing, but oh wow, so 86 on Fried, 92 on Snell. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, I don't have a good thing. I mean, I kind of want to say Snell, but then you're like, yeah, but he's going against the Yankees.
Right. Like I would lean Snell at the same or similar price point just because he's in the better park. He is the better pitcher. He has the better strikeout stuff. Especially if we're talking tournaments.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We're clearly talking tournaments because if it's cash games, it's just Scherzer on FanDuel. Right?
Yeah.
So then I guess my answer is Snell just because you're taking on more risk, but I think you do have a higher ceiling.
All right. That sounds good. That is going to get it done for us here. Again, Adam and I will be on 11:15, breaking down everything game by game. Should have some of the 4 o'clock lineups out there starting to come in for that slate. Looks like there's some decent-sized tournaments out there. And then it is a 7:15 main slate start. There are 3 7 o'clock games, 4 10 o'clock games. The show will start at 6:15 with Chris Baggs and I will be going down there live before lock with you talking the night slate. So it should be a good time here. Adam, any final words before we dip on out of here?
Nope, that's it for now.
All right, you can follow Adam at ShipMyMoneyDFS on Twitter. I am at EMACDFS, and of course, it is Osimo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.